All right, to politics we go together here. This morning, Green Party candidate Jill Stein says she's now taking her recount efforts in Pennsylvania to federal court. She dropped a lawsuit yesterday after a court demanded $1 million to keep that recount going.
Now Stein's attorneys say that they will file for emergency relief in federal court on Monday, demanding a statewide recount on constitutional grounds.
All right, so let's talk about this with Am Bolden, former chairman of the Washington, D.C. Democratic Party, and Ben Ferguson, host of the Ben Ferguson Radio Show. Gentlemen, good to see you on this Sunday morning. Thanks for being here, as always.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. All right, I want to ask you a quick question about Jill Stein, Scott. So everybody's hearing that the judge is saying you need $1 million to continue this. She's saying that they don't have the money. The first thought in a lot of people's heads are, what about the $7 million you raised? Is there some reason that that cannot be used for this purpose?
That's an excellent question, and maybe we'll hear what she has to say on Monday. When you've got a TRO or you're asking for emergency relief in any court, federal or state, you usually have to put up a bond. Here, in all three of these states, bonds are probably necessary because you can get a recount, but as everyone knows and the law requires, that recount, somebody's got to pay for it. And here, the judge in Pennsylvania is just following the law. In federal court, they'll argue that it's unconstitutional because based on unaffordability, but she's got to explain what happened to that $7 million or why she won't spend $1 million of that $7 million in Pennsylvania.
There's been no credible evidence thus far of any election tampering. Ben, even Clinton's campaign has said their investigations have shown nothing. So how much credence do you give this idea that the federal government is going to give her the money for this?
I don't think the federal government should give her the money for this at all. I also think that this is basically a fraud based on the idea that somehow somebody, at bare minimum, lawyers around Jill Stein are going to get very rich off of this. I liken this to someone opening a GoFundMe page asking for medical care expenses and desperation after stubbing their toe and buying a single Band-Aid. She is asking millions of dollars for people to send in millions. She has $7 million at least that's what we know, and she's not even willing to spend the $1 million. The other thing is this: if you're going to raise money for recount, you would know exactly how recount works. You would know that in many states you have to put up a bond for this. You would be prepared for this if your true intention was to get the vote recounted. I don't think Jill Stein's true intention here, or anyone around her, is to actually recount the votes. I think this is about raising their profile and unfortunately taking money from people that truly believe in what she believes in. And somebody's getting rich, but they really need to look into this because these people that are sending in money, they're being taken advantage of.
Well, we don't know that, for one. But two, I mean, I understand what you're saying, your opinion, but we also know that she may have put some money into Wisconsin already. Maybe that's where some of that money went. We don't know either. But you're right. Somebody's got to look into that.
The recount is underway in Wisconsin already.
Right, no doubt about it. Okay, let me.
There's a lot of money to go unspoken for right now.
Yeah, and a lot of people are asking where it is.
But the law allows her to do a recount, Chris.
It does.
Chris, it allows her to do this. And so when you talk about the result isn't going to change, when you talk about looking into the money, I got that part, and Monday we'll find out more from her, and we're going to really find out when the federal court decides, because a TRO, there's a very high legal bar. So I agree with Ben that there's some explaining to do here, but she's got a right to it, and the integrity of the election process is at issue. I take her at her word in regard to wanting to confirm the integrity of our election process, but let's just see what happens here.
And
but
she
I do
does,
think
you're
she's
right.
got a high bar.
She does have a right to do exactly what she's doing.
Absolutely.
Let me pivot here real quickly because I want to play some sound from Clinton campaign manager Robbie Mook this week. He and Trump's campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway, met with Jake Tapper and talked about the fake news and its impact on the election. Let's listen together here.
You know, Steve Bannon ran Breitbart News, which was notorious for peddling stories like this. And I'm not attacking him personally, but they peddled a lot of stories on that website that are just false. They're just not true, and that reinforce sexist, racist, anti-Semitic notions in people. You know, headlines that just make are shocking and insulting and shouldn't be part of our public discourse.
Kellyanne?
I think the biggest piece of fake news in this election was that Donald Trump couldn't win. So there's that, and that was peddled probably for weeks and months before the campaign, definitely in the closing days.
Hey, Scott, your reaction?
Yeah, well, it It could be both, you know. We know Breitbart stands on its own. Now, Kellyanne really didn't answer that question, and it really wasn't fake news because this was based on facts and polling, and the facts and the polling, we just got it wrong, quite frankly. The pundits did. But Breitbart's a whole other story because this alt-right is alt-reality. And remember, the Trump people don't believe in facts. What they believe in is facts are what you make the people believe, yet they drive that narrative. That's a dangerous narrative to live by.
Ben?
Look, I think there's two things here. One, I think you're listening to someone that obviously is having a hard time getting over the fact that they lost when they thought they were entitled to this election. They thought they'd won this election. They thought that Donald Trump and everyone that voted for him was a deplorable. You also are still hearing him use all the adjectives that describe deplorable that Hillary Clinton used. They're xenophobic, homophobic, gay, anti-gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual. They're bigots. They're racist. The election is over, and
but
that
that's
line
Breitbart,
of
though.
thinking,
That's Breitbart.
No. The Trump you just heard the Clinton campaign talking about those individuals, and the fact is, Hillary Clinton and her campaign treated 50% of the country like they were deplorables, and it bit them in the rear end, and they lost the election.
Okay, Ben Ferguson, A. Scott Bolden, we've run out of time. I think there are some catchphrases from this election that are never going to die. Don't you think?
You're probably
Gentlemen,
true.
I agree.
always good to have you with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.